I'm deeply concerned, Mr Deputy Speaker, that the relentless increase of hardship, struggle and poverty means that we've become dangerously acclimatised to it. So just imagine for one moment that we'd woken up after the 2010 election and we could see with fresh eyes the world that we have created around us. How shocked would we be to see that the number of people waiting over 18 weeks in the NHS has gone up to 4.4 million people? That a recent report on adult social care said people are being pushed into inappropriate care settings that don't meet their need, and the scandals keep coming on this over and over again. That 81% of our mental health trust leaders say that they are unable to meet the needs for their children with mental health problems. There is an unprecedented, quote, unprecedented rise in infant mortality. Rough sleeping since 2010 has increased by 165%. Education spending slashed by over £7 billion. Knife crime offences, the highest since 2010, and a 27% increase in the number of people being home educated, indicating the lack of faith that many parents of children with special educational needs and disabilities feel in the current school system, and so much more. We have a creeping normalisation of poverty and struggle. We retreat and only speak to those who act and speak like us. Our social media reinforces the views of those who we already agree with by the algorithms with which they use, and we've become conveniently blind to the reality that so many people face. The Channel 5 programmes put out their poverty porn programmes every single week, rebuilding this narrative that there is somehow a difference between the deserving and the undeserving poor. We look down on the undeserving poor as people lacking aspiration, people having a poor work ethic, until the moment it happens to somebody we love, until they hit the rocks, until life happens. Like the family in Hessel who told me that they had all along believed that if you play by the rules, you work hard, you pay your taxes, you will be rewarded later on, until their mother had a stroke. And they lacked the stroke rehabilitation that she needed. There was no care package waiting for her when she left hospital, and because she was left on her own without adequate care, she fell again, broke her hip, ended up back into hospital where she deteriorated further. Like the parents of children with special educational needs who at a meeting I had just last week broke down in tears, telling me about remortgaging their properties to go to tribunals because they can't get the needs that their child needs. Because the resources are rationed and there simply is not the things available. So it is only, it appears, in society right now possible to cope under this Conservative government if you can guarantee that you and the people you love will never be in need. The Conservatives have ripped the heart out of our public sector. And this Prime Minister is fooling no one with his grab bag of populist pronouncements masquerading as a Queen's speech. Like the leader of the Liberal Democrats, he was an enthusiastic member of a government that chose cuts over investment. They have destroyed the social contract, the promise that if you work hard, the state will be there to help you when you need it. Because hard work does no longer guarantee a decent standard of living when 1/3 of the children in my constituency are living in poverty and many of them in working families. It's time for Hull Western Hessel to have its fair share. It's time to enable our children to reach their potential, to have their needs met and their talents realised, and that will only happen when we have a Labour government introducing our fantastic national education services. People need skilled and secure work, and Labour's pledge and the Green New Deal will give 11,000 jobs to the people in my area with the offshore wind industry. Families need help with the cost of living. We need to be looking at reducing utility bills by having companies that are acting in the public interest and not the shareholders' interest, and introduce increased minimum wage. And most importantly, we want to say to everybody in our country that when life happens, when you fall down, the state will be there to pick you back up with free NHS prescriptions, free hospital car parking and free adult social care to treat everyone with the dignity and respect that they deserve. It's time for all of us to break out from our bubbles and truly see the unequal UK that this government has created. And unlike the member who spoke earlier, I am not aspirational just as an individual are aspirational for individuals in my constituency. I am aspirational for my city and I am aspirational for my country. And I believe that the UK has a brighter future, but that brighter future does not exist under this government. Our Labour values of equality, justice, fairness and compassion that mean only Labour will put the heart back into our public services and ensure that we can all rise together.